Okay, in this tutorial we're just going to create a UVW map for this egg cup model here. So the model's already been created and this is what we're going to use. We're going to use this in Photoshop as a reference image and things like that. So basically all this involves is creating a stretched out version of the model that we can color in and then apply that to the object itself. So we start first of all by selecting the object itself and applying the Unwrap UVW Modifier, which is down here. So Unwrap UVW, click on this, and it typically comes in with a couple of defaults itself. So you'll see there that it's got a couple of green edges. So there's one in here, and if I go over here, there is also one on this kind of nose portion, which isn't too bad. That'll do. So the way this thing works, we have our typical selections over here, so nodes, edges, and polygons, or the toggle XY. And then we can modify our selections, looping and rings and all that kind of stuff. Now really what we're going to need quite a lot of is the UV editor. So I'm just going to open up that editor there, and what you get is a preview of the object itself. So this is what it has at the moment. So if I just select that, I can move it about. Now this is not going to work terribly well. Incidentally, if you want to make sure that it falls into those squares, you just click this guy here, make sure it's set to rescale, and it'll just pop that back in. So it's arranged those items. So we now have the nose portion here and the main body here. Now this is not going to work terribly well because there isn't enough definition in it really. So if I just pop on the checker pattern, you'll see what's going to go on there. So what's happening here at the moment, if we look at the front portion, it's actually nicely checkered there. So when I paint onto this surface here, it'll be stay nicely in proportion. However, if we look at the sides here, you'll see that the cubes are getting stretched way back, and that's because if you look in here, you see that entire panel, for want of a better term, that polygon is being represented by a very small area there, so it stretches all the way back. This is far from ideal. Now it's not going to matter a whole heap on this object because it's primarily the same color, as you can see. However, as an exercise, it's worth trying to get all this to even out. Also, if we look underneath the bottom of it there, it's all stripy, so that's really not good at all. So what we need to do is start creating more seams, so more of these green lines effectively. So I'm going to start off by going underneath the object itself, using my edge selection tool, and I'm just going to grab off a portion at the bottom here. So I'll come into about here maybe. Go to that one. Let's see, we can loop that like so, and with that, all that select, you can select these manually or whatever. Then you just convert that to an edge, and it has been done now. So having done that, the next thing we need to do is get it to appear in this thing here. So at the moment you can actually see the selection at the bottom, but what I need to do now is peel that out of there. So we just go to this, well, that's the tool we're going to use, but first we need to select a polygon in here, and then what we can do is click on this expand to seams. So that'll select everything inside the seam, a really good way of checking what's going on. Having done that, we can then do a quick peel on that, and we get this shape. And you can see immediately in underneath now, we have the checker pattern appearing as we would like. I'm just going to move this out of the way. And indeed, as you move it, you can actually see the checker pattern changing. So that is the first cut we're going to do. I'm also going to take a cut somewhere down here because I'm not terribly concerned with everything. So let's grab that, ring it, and then take another cut there. Okay. And again, I can just grab this out of here and expand to selection, and I can also peel this out. So it doesn't matter an awful lot what's going to happen with this. It's just all going to be yellow anyway, so I'm not overly concerned with it. However, this one here I do want to try and fix up a bit. and you'll see the difference now in behaviors. So first of all, actually there's a few other things I want to do. This object itself has a couple of different colors on it. So if I just bring in the image there for a second, you'll see front, side. But if you go to the top there, you'll see that the inside of it is actually white. That's with a flash on a camera, so it's causing a few problems. That's the underside there. I'm not going to model the underside there, but you can see where there's no glazing applied. So I do want to take out this inner part. So I need to find a suitable place in which to create another seam along the top. So looking at it, it seems to me that just from here, the glazing goes just up to the top of the vertical face. So I can find a polygon somewhere around here or an edge somewhere around here, which might be suitable. So let's use the edge selection, grab that, loop it, and turn that to a seam as well. And just to show you the effect, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create another seam in here, which will go from end to end. So I need that actually for other purposes anyway. So let's flip that back. Okay, so that's not the front view. Let's spin around, have a look here. Where's the nose gone? Okay. So I just want to try and get the edge which is most appropriate. I think it might be that one. So yeah, close enough. Alright, so I'm going to select this one, and what I can do now is use a different tool here, which is point-to-point seam. So I'm actually going to run from there. So what I'm doing is just zooming in and clicking on these points here, and it'll draw up the edge. You don't have to select the individuals. Don't go too far because it'll try and find a shortest route. So if we can find that one, let's find that. Come on, find it. Okay, it just doesn't look looks a bit iffy there. I'm confusing the checker pattern there. Alright, so there's our seams, and now what I'm going to do is peel off these. So again, grab a polygon, expand to selection, quick peel, and that's that one out of there. It looks a bit weird. Probably missed something down there actually. Yep. So I might, just keep going, it'll be alright. I'm more concerned with the edges anyway, which are going to be there. Obviously you should really fix this stuff, but I'm not going to do that now. So I'm going to run another seam now along the back. So again, using this tool, just grab it along. Again, don't go too far in case you confuse it, and I want to bring it to there. Okay, and again, just use the polygon selection there, expand to selection, have everything, and we'll peel this as well. Now you'll see straight away there, when I ran that peel, it changed the checker pattern there. So rather than get it completely stretched out, it is now a checker pattern, although you can see that it's changing a bit. So let's have a look at what we got. So there it is. Let's move this over here. Now we do have another option here, and that's the relax option. So with this selected, under tools, I can relax this. So we can just start, and when we stop it where it suits us. So it's not doing much for me there actually. You can see it kind of changing shape a bit and just kind of straightening itself out. And this can be useful to try and bring those back in line. So I'm going to maybe stop it there. That's good enough. So now if we look on the sides here, yes, they're still off, but the checker pattern here is still off, but it's not quite as bad. If we go to the back, it might be a bit better. Yeah. Another thing to note about seams, you can see here the way they're not matching. If you do have any sort of decal joining over this area, it makes sense not to put a seam in that location. So find another way of doing it, basically. All right, so that's everything. Just kill that off. I'm going to zoom out now, grab all of these, pack and rescale, and just move a few things about. So let's get that out of there and put it up here maybe. So what we have then, just to be sure, is this is the, see, that is our front face, that's the main one. We also have, what other geometry do we have in here? So I want to confirm this. It makes sense to be absolutely sure where you put stuff. So let's just do a quick selection on that maybe. Okay, so this round one is going to be the lower portion, that's the underside, and that's going to be the inner face, and that's the nose. All right. So that's the first step, setting up all those seams. So the next thing we need to do is to render this out as a UVW map. And again, this is a very simple process. So what we do now is we go to Tools, Render UVW Template. Now 1024 by 1024 is fairly standard. 2048 is probably a bit better, but I've done this before, so I'm going to use 4096 as the size. So it's going to give me a pretty big map to work with. So 496, 496. And then we just click the button that says Render UVW Template. So there you go, and out it comes, and it looks like this. So don't worry too much about the fact that it's all kind of pixelated and dotty there. If you go closer into it, you'll see that it's fine. Now, how you save this out, so you just use a save control there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is save this out. Typically, you should really use a PNG on this because it is a lossless format. So UVW.png. Now, one of the downsides, of course, is that it's a little bit harder to see on these types of videos. So what I'm going to do is save out both. And this, instead of a PNG, this time I'm just going to create a JPEG. So UVWMap.jpg. Okay. So that'll be a little bit easier to work with in Photoshop. And that's the first part. So the next thing we need to do is to open up Photoshop and go to work on this. So let's close that down, this, don't need the editor anymore. And I'm just going to leave you Max running in the background there. Okay, so into Photoshop, which is there. So let's pop that open. And what we're going to do is open up our map file there. So I just dragged it in from the side. All right, so there's our background. And what we're going to do is create a couple of layers here so that we can tweak them as we need to. So a new layer. I'm going to call one of them main body. Create another one, call it face, and another layer, and I'll call this one inside. So the inside is going to be white, which is nice and easy, and the main body will be yellow. So let's pick a yellow color here, so that looks pretty okay. Obviously it's holding the last selection, so that'll do. And all I need to do is just paint on the yellow color. So nice big brush and just paint it on. So this was the underside, so I'm just going to paint that. This was the body, so we can just paint that like so. And the nose, like so. and this area here, which is kind of the main egg cup shape. So let me just pop that over there. Well, you could just wash out the whole thing in yellow if you want to, except for the bits you want white. Okay, and this piece I want white. So what I'm going to do here is, now I also want it to edge. So if we look back into 3ds here, you can see there where I put the seam. So basically what I'm saying is I want the glaze, the yellow, to appear up until this line, but there's a smooth transition of color from yellow to white there. So I'm going to try and replicate this in 3ds. And how I'm going to do that is use a fuzzy brush for a little bit. So what I'm going to try and do, let's just zoom in on this, is just somewhere along here, just to run a nice kind of blurry kind of a brush in yellow here. Actually, I think I've gone and drawn all this in the wrong face, or the wrong layer. It says inside there. It's probably not a good thing. All right, we'll fix that in a bit. So back to the brush tool, and let's see what that looks like. Okay, the fall off is not quite what I wanted. Let's increase the size of the brush and see what it looks like. Okay, so what I'm going to do is a bit of a fall off there like that. This is a little bit tedious, so feel free to skip ahead. It's worth spending time on this to get it right. Oh, let's see an error I've got there. So I'm just going to, while I'm here, just fix that. Might have overcooked it a bit there. Now these lines, of course, won't be visible in on the model itself. They're just guidelines, but the colors will be. Yeah, I obviously don't need to do the split layer along the top because that's actually at the back of it. All right, so see what we got here. Where's my zoom button? Somewhere around here. Okay. So that is that point. So I'm just going to save this out. So Yeah, PSD file, egg map, fine. Click OK. Now, as you can see there, I got my layering wrong, so what I'm going to do now is go to main body, and I'll rename it afterwards. But what I'm going to do is turn off this, change the color to white, and pull out the brush again, nice and big. Whoops. Used to know earlier. Let's see. Sorry, some nice big brush here, and let's just paint over that. It's going to be very bright in there, but look, it'll be okay. So let's turn on the other layers. So that's what we've got. It doesn't look too bad. It should be perfectly adequate for what we needed to do. And there's my machine having a little hiccup. Okay, now the next thing we need to do is to get the face on. So what I'm going to do is turn off these. I might want that back on actually. And I'm going to bring in the other image itself, the image of the object. So I'm just going to pop this in here, and that's it. So that's sitting there on an image layer. Now, in order to see it and position it and everything else, what I need to do is just drop the opacity of this back a bit. So that's really kind of enough. And if we go to the bottom of this, it's actually where our nose is. So obviously it's way too big. What I'm going to do now is, just scale this down a bit to a size that I can work with. New button. Me and Photoshop are not really good friends. Okay, so that's not too bad actually. So maybe let's come in and have a look at that. We're getting there. So I'll make it take it back a small bit more, I think. And go to about there. Okay, the process here is really just to paint on what we want to see. So what I'll do now is let's go back to a small enough size pen here, a little bit smaller than that, about there. Pick up black, and let's just zoom in. And all I'm going to do is just start drawing the outline. So maybe just put this smiley face on, like that. Okay, maybe like a little bit smaller here, just so I can do that. And another one there. Okay, so that's hopefully the smile. Let's get a look at the eyes. So about there, about there. You'd obviously spend more time on this trying to get it right. So let's get the loop around the eyes. Lead that in a bit. You could use better tools in Photoshop for this, I'm sure. That's reasonable enough. Might as well start drawing the hearts. So let's go to red. That's deep red there. So put in a little heart there. Yep, clearly I'm not very good at that. So another one there. You don't have to follow exactly what is on the object itself. So just draw Put them in. Like so. And also there's a lighter yellow color in there. So I might just paint that in now as well. So something like that. I think at this point I could probably turn off the background layer. And I have to fix that anyway. And we can just work straight off of this. So let's make that a bit bigger. So it's just a case of tidying up those. You don't really want to leave any white space, although, well, what'll happen is the deeper yellow-gray glazing will come through. Okay, so maybe let's go back to black again. Actually, just, hang on. I'm going to pick up the red and finish those while I'm here. Where is my eyedropper? All right. Just shrunk the pen a small bit. All right. Oh, that's awful, isn't it? Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. So yeah, back to black. Click OK. Bring the sides of the pen down maybe a small bit, and just try and redo those. A bit more definition on the black. All right, it's probably too much actually. There's a bit of a spot there. Oof, they are a bit thick. Look, I'm not going to spend all day doing this. I'm sure you don't want to watch it either. So, we will leave it at that. Turn everything back on. And see what we got. So I need to zoom out on this and obviously muck about with the layers a bit. So we want the face to be on the top. There's the yellow, which is fine. You just need to rename that. That is not needed anymore. And that is not needed anymore. So what we can do is just save now. And yep, that looks pretty good. I'm going to save this out as a JPEG. Again, PNG would be better. So JPG. Click save. Ooh. Okay, watch that one. I'm not trying to save the map this time. We're going to save this as the material. So we're going to call this UVW material. And all of the usual things there. So click OK. And that should be good to go. Alright, so let's pull up a preview so you can see there. So there's the material in preview. Alright. So the next thing we need to do is apply this to our model. So we'll just minimize this stuff and go back in here. Okay. So next thing to do is open our material editor. And let's see, we're going to grab an empty material slot. We are going to create an arc and design material on this one. So that's it there. Select a template, and I'm going to say, let's see, I have glazed ceramic, which would be nice. So that's it. Now, in the diffuse color, we're going to apply our map. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to ask me what. So I'm going to pull in a bitmap, and then it's going to ask me where it is. And let's see if I can remember. So yes, thank you. And okay, it should be in here somewhere. and there it is. So I'm going to click open on that, but I do need to set a couple of things here. Turn off real world scale. We are going to use an explicit map channel, which will be channel 1. So when the UVW map rendered out, it used channel 1. So tiling 1.1, and that should be it. So I'm not thrilled with that kind of crappy color there, but well, that seems to be it. So let's apply it. So we're going to do material with the same, cancel that. I'm going to go up a level. I'm going to call this egg cup material. And now I'm going to pop it on. All right, so something seems to have happened. But it is not looking the way I'd hoped. So maybe there we go. So I've turned on the show unshaded, and you can see there that it's in. So quick render on that, and then we'll stop. So we can close that down, and yeah, decent enough position. And let's have a little render of this. So render, and there's our egg cup. Okay, seems I haven't gone deep enough with the yellow there, so maybe that could change. The white is not quite great there. Maybe a bit of changing on that. Just see how the hearts came out. They look reasonably okay there anyway. Oops, helps to zoom in the right thing. Yep, that looks okay. All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.